Oh, it's back to filtering out the claps again. What the fuck? That's annoying. All right. Anyway, whatever. I don't care. Hello and welcome to Radio Free Nintendo. It is June 25th, 2026, the final episode of June. I am James Jones. I'm joined today by Mr. Guillaume Veillette.
Hello, hello.
Mr. John Lindemann.
Great to be here, James.
And Mr. Greg Leahy.
Ahoy, ahoy, everyone.
This is episode 981, and we are going to get right to new business because we have a fairly stacked new business segment this week. And we are going to start it off with the demo of Rhythm Heaven Groove, which I think at least three of us played. John, did you play it?
No, I've not. I've been
okay.
All-Star
So
Fox
three of
all
us
the time.
have played it.
Yep.
Just to give context on what is in this demo, because you've probably played it as well, so we'll be quick about it. The demo is essentially the first set of stages. I did not play the multiplayer. I don't know. Did anybody get a chance to check out the multiplayer demo? Because I think it's different stages.
Unfortunately, I haven't.
No, not
damn.
for me either.
It does appear to be different mini games in the demo and the multiplayer, which makes sense because they did say during the direct that the number of games is different.
Yeah, and what
That's
they
80
showed,
solo and 30
Yeah.
multiplayer.
what they showed seemed to be like adaptations of older Rhythm Heaven games that you could recognise, like from the very first game on GBA and stuff. So, which, like I said before, is something that the Wii game did when it was doing multiplayer kind of adaptation. So, yeah, it's probably things along those lines, I'd guess.
Yep. Yeah, and so it's 5 and a remix, correct? I think it's 5.
I thought it was 4 in a remix, isn't it?
It might be 4. It's 5
I think
total.
If
4
you
in a
go back
remix.
to the GBA game, it tended to be 5 in a remix, but latterly, I'm not sure about DS, but at some point, I think they sort of made the remixes more, prominent, essentially, by having fewer constituent stages before a remix.
It's hoop trundling. Who named it that? The ones with the umbrellas.
The Brawley is in the title over here. I don't know if that's a UK specific. It sounds like one. Localization.
It's the case here as well, and I meant to look it up.
What was it? What was it called?
Oh, something with Brawley in it, which is very much a British colloquialism for an umbrella.
Because I caught that and went like, did they only localize this into one English? I guess, sure. Mm-hmm. There was the catch the frisbee minigame, and there's one other one. I'm blanking on it. But yeah,
the munching. You're feed
eating
the
the flowers
or something. Feeding the beast.
Feed the beast, yeah. And then the remix, which I mean. All right, so is it just me, or is hoop trundling the very first song or game in the game? I was trying to avoid that.
Yeah, it's a kind of constituent game. It's tricky, isn't it? Because like mini game feels like you're kind of exaggerating how minor it is because they're all pretty much the same size, if you know what I mean. Except like the remixes obviously draw from multiple ones, but. Yeah, it's kind of the terminology. I don't know if we've got a really solid one for it.
It felt like it was the most demanding out of anything in the entire stage.
I feel like it was the most demanding part of the remix for sure. Like I guess it's one of these things. Is like if you kind of get locked, and this is the whole thing with the remix, right? Is that it's one thing to get locked in on a particular pattern. Right, in a particular song, and kind of stick with it. But the remix, where it is, taking bits from, in this case, as we said, and I think it's been this way for a while in the series, but, 4 sort of constituent games and then, stitching them together and you don't necessarily know which bit is going to come. For whatever reason, it was that one that would kind of catch me out when they hit you with it relatively suddenly versus some of the other ones.
I guess I can't say that I agree that the first one is the toughest one, because I got it on the first try, and it's not me bragging, because the rest, I did not get them at all.
Oh,
until, I replayed it today. But
that's the opposite of me for every single.
Yeah, I was surprised.
But that one,
I was especially surprised because I must have missed 3 or 4 times, even perhaps. And I still
think
got
I had
that medal.
a couple of misses the first time I did it, but it still gave the medal. But I guess that's what the perfect's for, because that is a separate.
Yeah.
The medal is kind of the top rating, but it's not, because eventually they'll let you, assuming they use the same structure that they've used since the very beginning, you'll get these opportunities to do a perfect run, and that's really the top level of attainment for a given song/game.
For me, the one that gave me the most trouble perhaps was Feeding the Beast, because some of those, I don't know, quick succession beats were pretty tricky, and I found it a little bit harder to evaluate, based on the graphics. I felt like I could not really hear it in the music, and so I had to rely on the visual cues, and the visual cues were not that helpful. Whereas something like in the Disc Dog game, you almost have too many physical cues, too many visual cues to help you, to the point where
and they take them away a little bit in kind of typical Rhythm Heaven style, but none of these, and again, it's the first set, right? Not hardly surprising. None of these are really getting into the more advanced, we're going to screw with you with the visuals too much. It's some light things, kind of zooming in and maybe doing a kind of, everything kind of goes black except a particular little searchlight kind of focus on one particular thing, but it's nothing like the kind of more advanced visual kind of chicanery that they'll get to presumably in the latter sets.
Yeah, at some point you'll get to I can't remember what the name of the one was where they were playing rackets on the airplane where it zoomed all the way
clouds,
in.
The clouds, and then
zooming. Sky Rally or...
I think it is Sky Rally. Yeah, just an absolute nightmare.
I mean, obviously, the classic with Monkey Watch, when it zooms all the way out on that is just you've been sort of locked in on the monkeys, you're held on to the hand of what you assume is a giant clock or something, and it's high-fiving as it goes on, and then it just zooms all the way out and it's just a little wristwatch. It's just so fucking stupid as well. It's not just the big zoom, but just the why is it a wristwatch? Why are the monkeys tiny? Just that's how they're trying to get you.
The flock step, not the original one that it was when it was people, before they did it with birds.
It was lockstep before.
Lockstep,
it was lockstep.
Where it zooms out and it's just it's pictures of J.S. Bach. What? Why? What? It's just there to fuck with you, which is worse because that game is already miserable. That is already the most miserable thing they have ever put in Rhythm Heaven.
Think about that as well. That felt pretty on the subject of it being exacting or not, or how generous is it or whatever. It felt like it was pretty exacting, and it's on the DS, which had the least precise input. So it was kind of I guess. That's what kind of with Flockstep. Maybe you could say some of it was about that tweaks to the precise construction of it as well, but it was never nearly an issue in the same way because you were just using the buttons on the Wii remote. I think that was the most of it.
I am. Let's see. I'm really excited to play this game now already. Because this demo was really good. And I mean, it's Rhythm Heaven, and it's all new games. It's been a while since we've gotten I mean, there's not gonna be all new games, but like the demo was all new games.
And yeah, you presume the majority of the kind of single player stuff is going to be either entirely, these were novel. Obviously, it's all kind of variations on similar rhythm based concepts. There's only like so different, but like the dressing up is a lot of the fun with Rhythm Heaven, and obviously the graphics aren't going to be like a huge selling point as how advanced they are or something, but it's definitely the highest level of audio visual fidelity you've ever had in the series. Yeah. I think so. I'll be kind of interested to see what they can do with it, especially as I said, in the more advanced kind of phases where they're really going to go places with the way they try and throw you off rhythm, with the visual stuff as well. But yeah, I think like the biggest thing that the biggest question that I had about get it, because I said I've had Japanese copies of all of these except the DS one, although I got a Japanese copy of that later. Was will they have like the Japanese language for vocal songs rather than the localized versions, or will they have both or whatever? And there was one vocal sort of song among these, wasn't there? And that was already in Japanese, so it may just be they're not going to do English language localizations of the songs in this case, which I have absolutely no issue with whatsoever, being a veteran of all of these in Japanese.
I'm not willing to I mean, the people who are like already in weird panic mode about that, I'm not willing to go there yet. It could just be entirely focused on the demo was done before we had the English track, or
maybe there's certain like certain songs that they choose to localize because they think it benefits from it more, whereas like with that one it's kind of like, well, no, it wouldn't benefit from it, so what's wrong with leaving it in the original language? Like it could be more of a bespoke case by case kind of scenario.
And the best part is like they just didn't want to make the demo as small as possible. Put one version of the song in, because I don't like it. It could be anything, but ultimately, like I would hope they do it, because some of the English language tracks where like the cadence of the song is clearly designed for Japanese. Oh, I can't remember the name of the word for the syllable structure of Japanese, and it's like. This must have been impossible to try to find English phrases trying to convey the meaning to fit into the cadence of this song. And like you'll hear sometimes where the song they'd like rush through 3 or 4 syllables just to make it fit. And I'm like, man, they must have just hated Sunku right now. Like this doesn't work at all. This is terrible. And I'm going to miss that if it's gone. I think it's a key part of the franchise. The weird, this song doesn't actually fit its lyrics, but that's fine. Everything's fine. Or I guess the better way would be saying this lyric doesn't fit its song. Literally does not fit its song. I am excited to play this game. That is probably the best way of putting it. I am very excited to get my hands on Rhythm Heaven, to play it for a really long time, to get incredibly frustrated in the pursuit of perfects, because I'm going to bet it has that same effing system where you can only get perfect when it's try for perfect. Yeah,
that's what I was referring to earlier.
It's the worst.
It's just this sort of it's not just a case of, okay, you've got the medal now. Because they could do it that way, right? It could be like, well, we won't let you get list. I mean, you probably have to be a pretty serious player to be able to do this. But just like, first game, first run, bang, perfect. Like I could kind of even in that case that somebody could do that, I can understand them not wanting to just give it to them, but to at least like say, okay, earn the medal sort of tier first, and then you can attempt to perfect on that game at any time. But it's never been that way. It's always been like, okay, you have to have done, I think you have to have done it to the medal standard, but then it's just like, okay, what one among the various games that you have done up to that standard, they'll just pick one and say, this is the one you can attempt to perfect right now. And
you know what it is?
If you don't like that, that's your problem.
It's the stupid fucking comets in Mario Galaxy.
It's a bit like that, isn't it, actually? Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't want to do that one right now. It's not the one I want.
Did they change that at all in any of the re-releases where you could like
I
tell?
hope so.
Could you prompt them to shuffle the pack with the comments or something? I forget.
Because it sucks. I remember trying really hard to get a perfect on Remix 10 in the Wii one. Fever? I think it's Fever.
Yes, well, in America anyway.
Yeah, I'm not the person who completed the Go for Perfect on mine. Someone else who was a person on the site has done that. They did it on the first try. Go for Perfect came up on it.
I mean, it's a long one, isn't it? Because it is basically
it's so long, and it's got like 4 false ends.
Yeah, it's basically stitching everything together. I'll never forget it because it took me quite a few times, so I can still
hear it.
I can still hear, especially the very end. You know, where you're batting away the spiders. Yeah.
This is more like therapy than it is actually describing a game.
Well, the funny part is it's got multiple false ends, like legitimately multiple false ends. And so because someone else had already gotten the perfect for me on their first fucking try, after I had failed at the try for perfect on that one many times, I almost got it. I almost got it on like just doing it myself, because then it's like, well, I can't get the perfect because we've already got it. And I did it for like 2 straight hours, just Remix 10, over and over and over again. And when I finally got it, or almost got it, I got to the end where it goes the ba 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 ba, and then it winds up again.
Yeah.
To like, if you've relaxed.
Yeah.
And then it winds up again. And like, I forgot that it pulls that shit twice, and just dropped the controller and went, fucking finally! And then it came back.
They knew what they were doing. They were trying
I'm like,
to set you up
motherfuckers!
So you say you dropped the controller, but I will say I do think perhaps playing on the Switch is the way to go, just to beat the lag, the input lag.
Oh, face,
yeah.
I feel like tonight, like I played most of the games, I think only once yesterday, and then today I played them again on the Switch 2, and it just I basically got the medals like first or second try tonight. So it makes a huge difference. Whereas like I couldn't really quite get the hang of it on the TV.
This is going to be a portable and headphones game for me, strictly, basically.
Wired headphones.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, not the one. Yeah, just plug straight in the jack. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Bluetooth might make it worse.
Yeah. Well, the game warns you that the Bluetooth might make it worse.
I haven't tried it on handheld yet. I'll be curious to give it a go and see how that if that helps. I mean, I got medals on everything except hoop trundling already, so like it's going to be hard for me to come up with a standard that's like I'm doing better. I do wish it gave you a little bit. I mean, this has always been a Rhythm Heaven thing, or give you a little bit more insight on how you did. Like you get the text descriptions. The audience said you did great at blank and also blank and also this other thing. But yeah,
let's see. I haven't had that much experience of the kind of the weirdness of the writing and stuff around Rhythm Heaven again, because I only played one of them localized.
Weird.
So stuff like the one where it says it has to keep coming up with who the observer would be in this scenario. So it's like the sun said.
Yes, it's like what? Pardon? Yeah, this sure is Rhythm Heaven. And I am very excited to play more Rhythm Heaven. I don't know. Do y'all have any other thoughts on the demo, or we can move on?
No, exactly. That's really all it is. It's just proving to be exactly, how you remember it, just in, the higher resolution, higher kind of, sound quality for the music, and presumably it's going to be just, recreating all the same kind of, playbook of stuff that I've enjoyed so much over the years, and after such a long time, that's fine by me. Other than that, they showed some of these other elements that presumably are going to try and maybe appeal to a broader constituency than just, us that know it and love it for what it is, with like the RPG thing, with the casting spells, with rhythmic inputs and the multiplayer stuff that we, already kind of mentioned but haven't been able to try and all that. Like how much that'll be able to add appeal, both in terms of for people who do buy it, but also for just, will it get more people to try it and purchase it? Hard for me to say, but yeah, it doesn't personally factor into my calculation because it's quite reasonably priced actually. I'm very, very confident it'll deliver more than enough enjoyment to justify that for me.
I was going to say that, like, the game is basically half the price of some other Nintendo games that are coming out in Canada, so I basically, like, I played the demo, and then I was like, okay, I'll order it, and that was it.
Yeah, it's $40 in the US, which is not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll have more updates next week, because it comes out on the 2nd. So, not next week. I think we won't get to talk about it till the week after. Well, Greg, actually, you might get some time with it.
Well, these days, of course, they're moving it that day up, right, in the week.
Right.
It definitely, before it was literally like, well, for my time zone, it's launched, and then I might be able to get like 90 minutes before we start. Yeah. So with the extra day these days, it definitely gives both myself and others maybe a little bit more time. But true, it's going to be it's still tight, isn't it? I'm sure it'll be much more kind of apt for a longer discussion about it the week after.
Yeah. And like, I'll probably get some time on it, but we might be talking like an hour versus what I would like to get, which is I would like to spend the entirety of my day on Thursday playing this game if I had a choice. All right. Well, we'll move on to, let's see. Let me rearrange my stuff real quick. Just so people know, we are putting Star Fox at the end of this segment. That is why we are not talking about it right out of the gate, because almost everybody, myself excluded, has played Star Fox. But Greg, why don't you talk about Super Scram Kitty?
Yeah, so as I mentioned at the end of last week, Super Scram Kitty came out in the middle of last week unexpectedly, and I've been chipping away at it. So far, it's kind of like, I think there's like 6 sectors of different kinds of levels on offer, and I've completed 4 of them. I'm not sure how much additional stuff there is. I mean, it seems like a lot of it, in terms of further appeal, will be sort of held in a sort of challenge mode where you're doing things on time. Speed runs essentially, because so far, I've been kind of doing these levels and usually being very kind of thorough and taking my time and all that. So it'd be quite a different experience, I think, trying to hit a particular kind of part-time for these. It's an interesting hybrid of aspects. So I guess it always was, going back to that Wii U version, but now they've sort of seemingly, the memories of the original, not razor sharp in my mind at this point. And I've not booted the Wii U back up to consult with it, but just kind of reading John's mini review on the website and whatnot, John Redden's. Kind of talks about some of the tweaks they've kind of, and it is consistent with what I can remember of that game in terms of perhaps, in a sense, the Super Scram Kitty. While yes, the kind of alliterative element is I'm sure the actual reason why you'd put that modifier on it, and just it's a very common thing, especially with the Nintendo audience. But it's almost apt to me because of how I kind of think about Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Because Super Ghouls and Ghosts is a completely different game from Ghouls and Ghosts. It's not. That's one of the interesting choices about that. The branding there. I think it may have led people to believe that it was just like a Super Nintendo port of the arcade game Ghouls and Ghosts, because there were games that did that sort of thing, naming wise. But in fact, it's just a completely separate sort of sequel in some ways, you could almost say it's kind of like if Ghouls and Ghosts is one sequel to Ghosts and Goblins, Super Ghouls and Ghosts is like an alternate one.
Right.
Like,
you would almost be better off calling it Super Ghosts and Goblins.
Yeah, they might. That might have been a viable kind of way of going about it and distinguish it a bit more, because where Ghouls and Ghosts, kind of amplified the kind of action elements of Ghosts and Goblins, in terms of there's a lot more stuff on screen, a lot more enemies, about killing stuff a lot faster. Super Ghouls and Ghosts is much more about platforming, it's much more about jumping. It adds the double jump, but doesn't let you shoot upwards and in other directions the way that Ghouls and Ghosts does. So it's like, and again, you'd think a lot of this is to do with the hardware in terms of what could the Super Nintendo do? Well, it was bloody chugging along when it was running Super Ghouls and Ghosts, and that isn't as predicated on having a million different enemies on screen at the time as the way the arcade one was. So it was, I guess it was probably, a practical decision as much as perhaps a stylistic one to say, yeah, let's make this more about because if you remember, Ghosts and Goblins is a very early case of an arcade platformer. There weren't many of them before. I mean, what like Pac-Land or whatever, like it's Super Mario Brothers is around the same time at home. Like, it was very, even though you can look at it now and say like it's not some grand platforming showcase, like it had platforming. It was quite seminal, in that area, and Super Ghouls and Ghosts much more kind of emphasizes that, and Super Scram Kitty is doing that in some of these level types in particular, because you've got this kind of especially this kind of kick maneuver that is a bit like a kind of double jump, and you can actually use it to kind of let you jump off enemies. And so it's really much more of an emphasis on this kind of element of the gameplay than I recall, from the original. And also sort of interesting elements about like, okay, if you, as the original title implied with the Buddy on Rails thing, you're moving along, the outside of all these, it's got like a top-down shooter, but you can't just kind of shoot wherever you like, like a twin stick top-down shooter. You are riding around on these rails, and that determines what direction you're facing and where you're shooting. But now it's kind of like if you sort of move into a particular orientation based on, what position you're in on a particular surface, and then start shooting, you can lock that angle in and then move along the rail and keep shooting at that angle. And that is a very important kind of maneuver for being able to get a line of sight on certain enemies, the way that things are laid out and all that. So definitely some interesting wrinkles, that they're bringing to the design from the earlier games. And basically the first sector was, introducing these concepts, with the explicit kind of text on screen, kind of tutorials and stuff. And then beyond that, the subsequent sectors have done, much more like, okay, let's take certain, specific kind of concepts and kind of run with them, like, jumping off the enemies to be able to reach certain things or whatever. And then each level essentially has like 4 cats that you can rescue that are like different types of sort of completion, if you like, different. Like there's one for just like reaching the exit, but then there's always one for getting like 100 to bring it back to the kind of Pac-Man comparison that we kind of had with Shadow Labyrinth last week. There's actually like 100 Pac-Man dots in the maze, like that there's always going to be, to kind of prove that you've combed every inch of the level. That gets you another sort of cat rescued. There's always a sort of little mini-boss enemy somewhere that you can find and defeat. That'll get you another rescue cat. And then there's finishing the level with full health. And so, you can get up to 4 for each level. And so far, most of the levels I've done have been, 4. But, as it's going on, it's getting trickier in some cases, especially kind of, if you, especially it might make you think about tackling things in a certain order. finishing with full health, give you do the most combat intensive bit first, and then kind of you've got more time to recover more health and to finish the level with full health for that particular kind of achievement. So it gets you to think about, even before we talk about getting onto time trials and all that kind of thing, it gets you to think about different aspects of the level design and the mechanics and things. If you want to rescue all the kind of cats, I don't know if there's any going to be any quotas at some point, but yeah, in terms of you would have had to get so many to unlock a particular level or something. But I guess at this point I've got almost all of them, so yeah, it hasn't been a particular issue. But no, it's been nice to revisit with these kind of substantial changes, that mix it up, and I imagine I'll be done with it probably not before too long, but obviously we've got some other things coming up with Star Fox and Rhythm Heaven and so on, so yeah, we'll see. But it's a great thing to just dip into, for a quick little kind of challenge, relatively quick anyway, and you don't really, it's got a perfect kind of portable micro kind of play experience.
Cool. It's still, we talked about it last week, it's still weird for this game to have just re-emerged the way it did.
With so little kind of lead in, I guess a lot of the time, even for games that are developed by, a small number of people, you may hear about them for quite some considerable time before you get there. And obviously this is something that's existed before, I suppose, so it's like it has some discoverability built in from,
but it's got a new name,
but it does have a new name and dropped another component of the name and stuff, so it was genuinely kind of a surprise.
Also, it was on Wii U, so you could argue it never actually
the Schrodinger's box thing, or the tree falls in the forest thing, whatever you want to talk about.
Right.
It's did it make a sound? Well, I guess this podcast is auditory in nature, and I'm sure I've mentioned it on the show before, so it made some sort of sound, I guess.
If a tree falls in the wood and the planet is completely depopulated, does it make a sound? All right, Guillaume, why don't you talk about whatever the hell this is I wrote down in my notes that I don't understand?
Sure. So I've been checking out Wolffang and Skullfang Saturn Tribute Boosted on the Switch. Now, it is a part of a bunch of Saturn games that have been ported. They've all got this Saturn Tribute Boosted or S Tribute Boosted or whatever branding. And I was not really, the main one that I was looking to get was Elevator Action, because I heard that was, surprisingly amazing. But I also heard, I guess, I don't remember where. I heard some good about Wolffang, Skullfang, and I guess it's because I do follow some accounts on Blue Sky that are very big into, shoot 'em ups and arcade games and stuff like that. So it might have given me maybe it made me aware of this game that perhaps I would not have been aware of ever otherwise, because it's extremely weird. You look up the title of this game, Wolffang Skullfang Saturn Tribute Boosted. Now, of course, I'm using Bing, so it's kind of I'm not helping myself here, but the results are basically just the pages for the PlayStation Store, the Xbox Store, the eShop, and there's not a whole lot that comes up outside of that. You go on Metacritic, and there is a page for this game, but I check every platform that it's for: Xbox One, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PC, Switch. No critic review, no user review. So this game came out in 2024, and it's been memory hold, except that, can you be memory hold if no one was ever aware that you existed in the first place? I just don't know. So this is a pair of games, actually, Wolffang and then Skullfang. And Wolffang, I guess, is the more interesting of the two. So they're both Data East games, which to me is kind of a red flag. Like, I didn't know that going in, but I haven't. The thing about Data East games is that, like, maybe like they might have looked good on like in screenshots, but then you play them and they've got like surprisingly a surprisingly janky look. I don't know really how to explain it, but like I don't think that they've ever been, at the top like Konami sprites or Capcom sprites, and certainly like the gameplay that those publishers were able to deliver. Data East always seemed to be like, yeah, we're here too, and we're trying, and kind of just being a little bit, or maybe a lot more messy than its competitors. But I gotta say, like, of all the Data East games that I've played, Wolffang has the best vibes, I think, by far. You're playing as not Gundams, no, they're mechs. They don't transform, but they do all the Gundam stuff that you can do and get away with without encroaching without getting into legal trouble.
Breaching copyright laws, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, they can run around, they can skate around, They've got booster jets, like what have you. They've got plasma swords for close combat, but they've also got, a big old machine gun. And so, like, this is a side-scrolling shooter. I'm not sure what to compare it to. It's a little bit too... I don't know. I guess maybe it's going for a... God damn it. What am I thinking? Gunstar Heroes vibe. Because it's kind of a little bit slidey, a little bit like you've got options to lock your gun into position so that you can keep firing always in the same position as you move around the screen. It's pretty fast paced, so it's not something that I can compare to Cybernator, which was like the Konami mech side-scrolling game that was a lot more plodding. These mechs here,
very, very plodding that one. But I guess
absolutely.
Konami published it, I think, but who was the developer on that again? It's someone I know, but it was like...
I couldn't say.
It was part of the Assault Suit series, like there was Assault Suits Vulcan and various other ones, but that was very much like, we want you to feel, even though the sprite on screen is like, I guess, a reasonable size, but it's like, no, you have to believe that you're piloting something enormous that plods along, to give you that feel.
So you've got like the 3-pixel high humans that you can squash and
yes, exactly.
All that good stuff. Yeah, you do get a little bit of that. You do, you get, like the feeling that you're piloting a pretty big mech because, of course, like there's the standard power-ups where you can get like a laser gun or a spread gun or a wavy, whatever it is gun. But also, you get kind of options, in Gradius, like kind of the this game's equivalent of that, except that they don't reproduce your fire. Instead, like they're little guys in much smaller suits. And so, like, you free them from like the jet plane that you gun down. And so they float there on the screen, and then when you grab them, they latch onto your suit, and then they can start shooting mostly behind you, but also like they kind of aim for stuff that gets close to you. And you can get up to 2 little guys just grabbing onto your suit, just shooting their little, pea shooters, but they actually, it's actually helpful because many enemies just take the one hit, so it's good actually. But then, like, they will lose their grip on your suit when you get hit once, even though you've got, a lot of health. So you got, like, then they'll resume just floating around in the stage, and you can get them back. You sometimes in the levels will have walls, like, cliffs in the background, or a big, like, I don't know, like a giant ship just in the background. And so in that moment, not only you can walk left and right and jump, but you can also like just press up, and your your suit uses its kind of roller skate feet to just like slide on the cliff or on the wall in the background. So it's like it's got a lot of flair. It's got a lot of like it nails the anime aesthetic, of course. There's lots of chatter in Japanese between like some CEO and some lady anime dispatcher or something. I'm assuming that the story is very anime-ish, but at any rate, it's in Japanese. I can't understand it, but I'm sure it's nothing out of this world. But like it captures the vibes. The opening CG is amazing in that 90s early we're doing Toy Story graphics, kind of like attempt. With like this amazing MIDI guitar riffs and I don't know. Like I get nostalgia.
Like everything looked like Reboot. Is it that sort of vibe?
Yeah, a little bit, but crummier. Like early PS1. Well, because Reboot actually kind of looked good. Like it was kind of.
I guess.
But compared to this, I'm thinking more of what would be an equivalent? I don't know, like just early PS1 CG. Like it was very like flat with some, maybe some shadows and stuff, but there was not a whole lot of texture in those 3D models. So that's kind of what you see here. Anyway, so it's giving me big like mid 90s nostalgia, and it's fun enough. It's got all the bells and whistles that you would expect from a port of retro games nowadays. Like you do have a rewind feature that I haven't used, so I don't actually know. I don't think it's just a button press away. So maybe there's that like is inconvenient. You might have to go into a menu and go and choose rewind. But I seem to have an abundance of continues, if not infinite continues, so I really don't mind. There seems to be many endings. I didn't get the A ending, so I have at least one other ending to look forward to. And yeah, who knows what the plot is, but it's kind of funny because you do sometimes select missions between like the easy and the hard mission. And so this appears, the action seems to be set in New Zealand and Australia. So some shit is going down there with giant mechs. Usually the easy mission is set in New Zealand and the tougher versions in Australia. I don't know if I recognize anything specifically Australian about these levels. Like it's just, I don't know. Like it's something that's flavor that comes up in the settings and then like the mission select menu. But I'm not sure if I really see, I haven't seen like the opera house or anything like that, in any background, in any levels background. So
any kangaroos at all?
No kangaroos, no nothing. So it's
no
really
Crocodile
just
Dundee, anything like that. Paul Hogan, even not even as Crocodile Dundee, just Paul Hogan.
Not even Paul Hogan.
Lame.
And like that back then, Japanese developers did not care about using, likenesses of famous actors. So
yeah. And I also kid, but at that time, that probably would have been the extent of what any Japanese developer would have put in a place set in Australia in any game.
Yeah, a kangaroo,
Probably.
definitely.
Yep.
I mean, definitely. Like, honestly, it's surprising you're not playing as a kangaroo.
It is.
Exactly.
It is. You do get a choice of various models of mechs. Some of them more humanoid than others, and then you've got the more tank-like ones that can take more beating. They're slower. They've got stronger weapons, etc.
I need to see if Mobile Fighter G Gundam had an Australia Gundam. Oh, please. I don't think it did.
Well, this game tried to fix that, I guess. Yeah, like I think I would recommend it. Honestly, like it's the best looking Data East game I've ever played. It is pretty pricey. These are not cheap ports, but you do find them on sale sometimes. It's actually currently on sale, a 40% sale, but that's not as deep a discount as what I got it for. So right now it's 25 Canadian, so probably a little bit under $20 American. But I think I got it for like $12. So it would have been sub $10 just back in May. So you just missed it. I'm sorry. But I'm sure there's going to be another deep discount at some point. And for that deep discount, you also get another game that I barely touched, Skullfang, which has the same theming, like the same power-ups. Like, it's very similar. You can tell that, okay, it's part of the same franchise. Maybe it's a continuation of the story, except that in this case, it's jet fighters. Like, it's a vertical shmup. It seems fine enough for what it is. I don't think it really sets itself apart as much as Wolffang does. But you get also like a vertical shoot 'em up in this package. So I don't know. I find it a pretty good deal, and I'm excited. Like I like the anime aesthetic. I like as I said, the vibes. If you can get if you must get one Data East game, I would make it this one, honestly. So check it out.
I want to be clear, you don't have to get one Data East game.
But you can check this out if you're curious about 90s arcade games. Also, I should say, I don't have, like, there are other versions of these games that you can buy on the Switch. And from what the arcade heads on my Blue Sky feed said, based on what they said, this is the version to get. You want to get the Saturn Tribute Boosted version. Otherwise, I think that you might be buying each version separately, and you're not going to get as many options. I think it might be an Arcade Archives thing or something. But so be careful and get the right Wolffang, Skullfang, Saturn Tribute Boosted game.
There's definitely overlap with Arcade Archives there, because I think there's a S Tribute or Saturn Tribute or like Metal Black, the Taito shooter, but then there's also the Arcade Archives version. I don't know. Yeah, but presumably in some cases one might be preferable over the other. It wouldn't always be the same, way. But I guess in this case, the S Tribute is the preferred option.
Yep.
So I have the answer to the question nobody asked. There is not a Neo Australia Gundam in G Gundam. However, there is a spin-off manga where there is a Gundam referred to as, quote, Jumping Gundam, which, yes, is shaped like a kangaroo, but also is piloted by a kangaroo.
I mean, you might as well double down.
So fuck it.
Only a kangaroo could control the physiology of a giant neck that's shaped like a kangaroo.
Only he can understand it, yeah.
Like a lot of the Gundams in G Gundam are controlled by people in suits, because only humans can control human bodies. Likewise, the Holland Gundam is controlled by a windmill inside a giant windmill. What a fucking stupid ass series.
I will say as well, with the another Saturn Tribute game with giant mechs is actually Assault Suits Lanos 2. That is the sequel, not to Assault Suits Vulcan, which was the Super Nintendo game Cybernator, but Target Earth, the Mega Drive kind of game in that series, which is it's on NSO if you've got the expansion pack with the Genesis games. Everything I've ever heard is that it's obscenely difficult, that one. I don't know if the sequel that's on S Tribute is any more generous, but the developer as well that I was struggling was like, who is it? What do I know them from? It is Messiah, known to this podcast in particular for being the creators of the Cho and Iki games.
Huh?
I knew that sounded familiar.
Wow.
In a criminalistic kind of way.
Maybe one day I'll talk about it, because I did also get this on deep discount at some point. So
one day they will be held accountable.
Yeah, for their crimes.
Lord. All right. I will go next. Somebody posted this in the NWR Discord. It is on sale for about another week, called The Last Salvage Squad. It is a very visually striking game. It is a anime styled first person shooter that has kind of, it feels very frenetic in a Doom sort of way. Like there's a lot of enemies. You're constantly shooting. You're constantly running and dodging and stuff. But what makes this game different from those is everything. It has a almost, all right, so its color palette is basically kind of like a light tan to slightly green, black, and many, many shades of red. The basic premise of it is you are a robot that was used for like basic chores, and humans were effectively wiped out by an invasion of aliens. And these robots, one of the last things the humans did was task them with continuing to fight on their behalf. So these identical robots leave the bunker periodically to go confront these aliens in the hopes of eventually retaking the planet. And so it's like 20-something missions, and they're all pretty short. You can get through a mission in a couple minutes, in most cases. Very frenetic shooting. But what makes this game so visually striking is it's a 3D world made up of 2D sprites. So when you're looking at these relatively high detail hand-drawn sprites in this really vivid color palette of just like whites, reds, and blacks, it makes everything seem very cartoonish and like well drawn, even though you're really just looking at these models and you're kind of like panning around them and you can see them sort of changing. And everything's red because the aliens fucked up the atmosphere is what's explained. So like I beat the game in a few hours. It's $9. I had a lot of fun with it. The action is incredibly frenetic. But you can buy these upgrades as you progress through the game. And some of the upgrades allow you to, for example, heal, by picking up the loot that enemies drop. And the key thing here is when you die, you're not done. So you can buy more of these robots from the machine making them in the bunker. And those are your lives. And so when you die, you drop the only gun you have, because you only get one gun. And you then respawn as another one of the robots that you have in your inventory and have to go retrieve the gun. And in fact, every level you start, pretty much you don't have a gun. You have to go reclaim it from whoever was attempting this mission before you started playing. Which makes it feel very like chaotic early on because you're trying to use your double jump. You're trying to vault over these sort of flat but 3D surfaces to get to the gun as fast as you can. Then you're trying to deal with waves and waves of enemies as you go. The guns feel good. There's lots of different types. The upgrades feel effective. I feel very powerful at the end of the game. There is an unlockable like DX mode where you get variations on these missions. There are a few missions where you play as a different robot the humans created expressly for combat, and she feels very different. She punches things to death, for example. It's just a really fun, high intensity action game. It has the right amount of like auto aim. Like I said, guns feel, in some cases, the guns feel really good. There's a shotgun that you can get that some of the more heavily defended enemies, if you get right on top of them and blast them, they just explode and it feels amazing. There's a sniper rifle. There's a mission where you have to use a sniper rifle from a bridge and just keep everything suppressed. But then you can just run around in no scope with the sniper rifle if you want. Yeah, this is a really fun, like, short, it knows exactly what it wants to be kind of game. I absolutely love the style of it. I think there's only one mission that I felt like, God, this mission fucking sucks. And that is the mission you unlock after doing a bunch of post-game content. So, like, the fact that mission sucks, I can live with that. But everything else, it just felt fluid. It felt fun. The missions definitely don't outstay their welcome. There are missions that, when I replayed them to earn money, I was able to clear in like a minute, in 10 seconds, because I had upgrades. So, I had a really good time with this. It's short. Again, this is the last Salvage Squad. It came out like a week ago. Definitely worth a look. At a minimum, you should look at it because it looks neat. It almost reminds me of Virtual Boy because of the harsh reds. but a lot of the surfaces are filled in, where the Virtual Boy would have just been like outlines. Because Virtual Boy couldn't do white, essentially. But it looks fucking neato. Sorry, you were saying something?
No, I just I looked it up, and yeah, like it looks striking, and kind of looks like what I wish. What are those games called? Earth Defense Force. They kind of look like they play EDF. Like what I wish EDF played like.
Yeah, EDF has gone way into the silliness.
Yeah.
And this doesn't really do that. I will say that, boy, you move fast in this game, and boy, do your guns hit. Well, some of them hit hard. It's neat. Like it feels really good. It feels loose, but not in a bad way. It's probably the best way of wording it. I like it. I like it a lot. I strong recommend. And again, it's $9. And when the sale ends next week, it'll be $10. The horror.
Oh shit.
So yeah, worth a look. We're gonna take a break here. We're gonna drag this out. We're gonna make you wait. And when we come back, we're gonna talk about some Star Fox. So stay tuned. We are back with. We're going to talk about Star Fox, which is actually Star Fox 64, but Nintendo named it Star Fox despite the fact there's a completely different game called Star Fox.
Yeah, well, if they want to change the title, like if they want to revisit it at some point, they could just name it Star Fox Zero, just like they did with Earthbound Zero.
Yeah, no, you're right.
There's no issues there.
Nope.
They could. This feels like it's an adventure. They could call it that. I mean,
I like the idea of this becoming eventually, in common parlance, like Star Fox 26, like Donkey Kong 94. But then it's going to be like, why did Star Fox 26 come after Star Fox 64? What happened? And they're like, no, actually, they're the same game.
I honestly, I really wish we had gotten a port of Mega Man Legends 2 to the N64. Because they called it Mega Man 64 for some fucked up reason for Mega Man Legends 1.
Yeah. Again, that's a weird one. We're talking about how people might think something different, have the wrong idea about supercalls and ghosts, like calling Mega Man Legends.
Their choices would have been Mega Man Legends 2, despite the fact that the first game doesn't have the Legends moniker, or Mega Man 64 2. Which is objectively the most hilarious name they could have come up with.
Of course, DK64 came after DK94, didn't it?
That's true.
So there was that as well.
It's implicitly 2064, though. We're fine.
I want I'm going to make it my mission. I'm going to live clean, do everything right. I can live to 2064 so I could see the photorealistic remake of Donkey Kong 64 that'll come. Yeah.
I need to write that down. See, this is an image I can make. I don't have to be high concept for this one. All right, so all right, so I do not have Star Fox, aka Star Fox 64 remake, aka Star Fox 64 remake part 2, aka Star Fox 64 2026, aka Star Fox 2026.
Star Fox 2026, yeah, pick it.
Yeah. Star Fox : the latest game in the Star Fox franchise.
Star Fox, it's been 10 years since the last one, so we wanted to put something out on the market.
We have better hardware. That's pretty much what it is.
Star Fox 64 3D / not 3D anymore. So Star Fox 64 3D 2D. There it is. Star Fox this time it's radical. I don't know. Who amongst us has procured Star Fox 64 not 64 anymore?
I have. Yeah. Yeah, nostalgia really caught me with this one. Actually, last weekend, TYP was in town. Actually, I went to have dinner with him and his family.
Oh,
and
lovely.
It was funny. I hadn't seen him in actually quite a while. I mean, he figured he figured that we hadn't seen each other in 8 years, and I don't know about that, but that doesn't surprise me. It doesn't feel like that, but it also doesn't surprise me. But I know he's a Star Fox guy, and of course he doesn't have much time. He has 2 kids, so he doesn't have much time to really game anymore. But
yeah.
But I said, "Are you getting Star Fox?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." And I'm like, "I knew it. I knew you were a Star Fox guy." And so I was like, man, because Star Fox is a game where I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I don't really have a particular attachment to the franchise. I wouldn't say I'm a Star Fox fan in particular. I don't love a lot of the games.
You were a Star Fox guy.
But you know what I'm saying? Like some people love Star Fox. Like they're.
Oh, I know.
I don't really.
It's just like
I don't really care.
Just the phrasing is so good.
Yeah, like I think you know.
I can't think of someone like that at NWR though.
No, no, not at all. But I just think there's just some of the games where, you know, I've even gotten them. I think, you know, where I've gotten the game, I've been like, this is okay kind of thing. But I really do like the 64 game. And this is a fantastic remake of the 64 game. So if you liked Star Fox 64, you will love this because it's a really faithful remake, I think. I'm sure someone who's more of a Star Fox expert on that game, but this just has the feel. They really nailed the feel of the original game. Of course, everything looks great. And I think overall my favorite thing, and I think what I like to this day about the original Star Fox 64 is that it's just an arcade game kind of thing. It doesn't try to be a whole lot. Its focus is not on being some expansive experience or something like that. You know, it's very much sort of, I would liken it to almost like Outrun, where you have kind of the 4 or 5 different levels or whatever. I think it's probably 9 levels, I think, at any one time that you go through to the end of the game and you face the end boss. And based on different criteria, you go different routes. You attack different planets. Maybe 15 different planets, maybe something like that. It feels like that. Maybe 12, 15. I don't know.
I think it's 16 is the overall number, I guess, because Venom is kind of 2 levels. Yeah. You know, because like if you come the one way, you get the actual level with all the like hordes of enemies, and if you come the other way, you just get the Star Wolf face off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, and you know, depending on what you do in each level, it's sort of like, you know, that kind of that style of, you know, you have to fulfill a certain criteria, and you go one way, like you go to this planet if you do this. Or you go to this planet if you do that over there, like, you know, kill a certain enemy.
Or you just don't do that thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, there's plenty of replay value, and of course there's a few different modes. I have not tried the multiplayer mode. I'm not really expecting much of it. Usually, you know, in past games, this has been, you know, there's both local co-op and online. And it's kind of, I'm assuming it's still like the kind of dogfight mode that it used to be.
Yeah, it seems like there's a few variants. I only got a quick, like, couple of games in with you've got like it's all like 4-on-4 kind of, you know, if someone, you've got a Star Fox squadron against Star Wolf squadron, 4 players on each side, different scenarios, like point scoring scenarios. You got some where it's just kind of like, okay, there's like meteors that hit the play field, and you know, if you destroy them you can collect points, but you're also scoring points for downing enemy fighters and stuff, and so it's not all about the kind of objective, but you get big chunks of points that way, so it's kind of heavily encouraged. Then you've got the kind of like the one where you've got like loot, like there's pirates that have got like stuff, and you can shoot down the pirates, and then it's like between you or the rival squadron, like who's going to drag the loot back to their base, and that scores points. But again, you still get points for shooting stuff down too. So yeah, I'm not sure how those kind of balance out. It seems a lot more interesting than the old split screen multiplayer, obviously. I mean, that was not, you know, back in the day when I had this, you know, in 97, we didn't have that many multiplayer games yet at that point, especially because I didn't get Mario Kart 64, because the reviews over here with the magazines I had on that were a little bit tepid. They were kind of like, well, yeah, still kind of like Super Mario Kart better. So it was like, well, Even though there weren't that many games to get at the time, it did feel like I'm going to have to spend an enormous amount of get my parents to spend an enormous amount of money for this. If it's not as good as the Super Nintendo game, why should I do it? So we did end up trying out the Star Fox 64 multiplayer, but I think it's a bit more like technical, isn't it? Kind of flying the R-Wings in all range mode than fucking about with Mario Kart Battle Mode. I'm sure that would have gone down a lot better, frankly. And there was a weird on foot thing, wasn't there? There was like a cheat or something where you could just run around as the characters that was like silly, but it didn't have any lasting appeal. With this, obviously everything's just moved on though. So on the one hand, it certainly seems a lot more interesting. Like there's a few different levels. They're bigger. You've got objectives. You've got like, squad play, like I said, kind of some cooperation thought has to go into it. Like if someone's got the loot in that one mode I was talking about, you might want to cover them specifically while they kind of haul it back to base or whatever. But the multiplayer landscape, there's just such a massive amount of things to play on Switch. You've got to wonder how long, it's going to hold its appeal or whatever. And you need a player, healthy kind of player participation base to keep it viable, right? So I know in John Redden's review, he kind of thought it might not be able to hold that lasting kind of appeal over time. So I haven't really played enough of it to say, but certainly, I kind of was realistic about that when I decided to pull the trigger on the purchase.
Yeah. So haven't really, so I haven't really touched the multiplayer. But might get into that, the online. I think I might give that a shot. And what were you going to say, James?
No, I was just, there was silence and I was going to cue you up to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah. So just in terms of the way the game looks, I think it looks great. I feel like people kind of overreacted surprisingly on the internet. I'm shocked by that, but to how Slippy looked, I think all of the characters just look really good. Slippy is the characters I can say are just as annoying as ever. Like, trying to keep some of these guys alive. Of course, they have a mechanic where, your wingmen can get shut down.
Seemingly want to be.
They're always in harm's way, always getting shot down, and of course, you get penalized by not saving them, just because they'll have to the next level that you take on, they'll be in the repair bay, so they won't join you. Which can be kind of frustrating when they're so terrible.
The big thing about it is, because you might think, well, if they're so bloody annoying, maybe they could just stay in the repair bay, right?
Yeah.
The problem is, if you were trying to get medals, which is one of which was always one of the key aspects of the lasting appeal of Star Fox 64. When I had this, you got to remember, and some of this is just because, like, in one case, it was a new type of game to me, more or less, and in another case, it wasn't. But when I had Star Fox for Super Nintendo, it took me a long time to just play through that, right? Even though that didn't have stuff like medals and it had a score system, but there wasn't much nuance to it or, incentives built around it or anything, right? So, but it took me ages to, it probably took me like a week or something to see the first route through. And then the very hardest one was like quite a long time because that was a tough game for me as a kid. Star Fox 64 was like, I blew through it so fast that it was like, okay, that was, I really liked that, but it was very quick. And, the lasting appeal was to be found in getting the high scores that give you the medals, but it's not enough to just get the requisite number of hits. You have to have your team intact as well. So if you're in a situation where everything's going well enough, you're doing, you're getting the number of bonus points, you're killing enough stuff, but also killing it in the right way. Whereas you've got to get you get the extra points for the splash damage. If it kills, from charge shots, if it kills enemies, you get the bonus points. Then it's all going up right, but then one of them gets themselves killed, let's say, putting the onus on them rather than myself. And you can't sort of cash in the medal there. That's annoying
It is very annoying, especially when there's a lot, especially in some of the later levels. There's a lot going on, especially when you get, Star Wolf coming in and they start chasing everybody around, and, it's pretty clear that it's an unstated objective that you should be shooting down all of these Star Wolf people, all these, Star Wolf guys.
Yeah.
And they're pretty good. They're not only hard to shoot down themselves, but they also do a number on, Falco, Slippy, and Peppy. And so you're always...
The big thing with them is it is useful to have your teammates around to be targeted, right? Because the problem is, if you come into a level short a man, or you lose a man in the mission, the Star Wolf starts to double up on you, and it becomes a lot more difficult at that point, right? Because obviously those all-range dogfight modes, a lot of it's built around the being able to do loop the loop, or being able to do a U-turn, right, to get somebody, if somebody's on your tail, you get them off your tail. But the problem is, that is on the boost meter, which you can only do it so frequently, and so if you kind of someone's behind me, let's get them off my back, and now you can't do that maneuver for a while, but they're doubling up on you, the next guy's just going to shoot you, and you can't really dodge them at that point. So you want the guys there to spread out the opposition for long enough that you can get the numerical advantage on them, and then it's not really that difficult. So again, it is not just for the medals, but for the dogfight, it's useful to have the full complement so that you can pursue the opponent rather than get pursued by them.
Yeah, I figured out pretty quickly. I started going for, as soon as Star Wolf came onto the scene, I started trying to take those guys out, because some of them you can actually take out pretty quickly. They're a little bit, they're pretty tricky to track down, but they're not particularly difficult if you just hone in on them. But you can't let them remain, because they will just sit there and take pot shots at the rest of your team, which, like Greg said, that hurts you in multiple ways. It's you quickly discover that you're like, oh, I have to actually keep those guys alive to really get the maximum scores. Great. So, but yeah, I think my thought for this game was that it's pretty much exactly what it says on the tin. It's a modern remake of Star Fox 64, but I think it does it in all the best ways. I think it really looks good. I think all the characters look really great. I love the fact that Falco, they've also expanded the lore a little bit, and there's a lot of they have the Holo Viewer in there that has background for anything and everything involved with Star Fox. But I just think it's funny that Falco Lombardi he's part of a gang called Free as a Bird. And so he, on the back of his flight jacket, he has this motorcycle gang type script that says "free as" at the top and "a bird" at the bottom. And I was just like, that's awesome. I thought that was so funny. Falco is this kind of motorcycle gang kind of badass in this game.
Well, I think it's as well Kat from the one level Zonis.
Yes.
She is also in that gang. Well, I guess she's still in
awesome.
it. You've headhunted Falco out of the motorcycle gang into your mercenary team, because you needed another pilot, but Kat's still in that gang, and that, I guess it kind of explains her punk rock looking makeover. Yeah, it's she's basically a motorcycle, the aerial equivalent of a motorcycle gang kind of person.
Yep. So
I want to say the "free as a bird" thing shows up in one of the trophy descriptions in Smash.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how much this stuff might have been in manuals back in the day, because again, Japanese, right? Japanese Super Nintendo, Star Fox, Japanese 64, so there could have been anything in there. I wouldn't have known about it.
I'm now on the R-Wingopedia. Jesus Christ.
Nice.
Also, and then, of course, there's all the great stuff that's in Star Fox Command. I mean,
yeah. Speaking of,
I also played in Japanese just because I'm cheap.
Yeah. Speaking of R-Wings, I think it's fascinating with the R-Wings how their visual design is based on the hardware requirements that those things were thought up on.
Oh yeah, totally.
And that visual design
just
they haven't really changed it that much. They've augmented it, and they look really cool. But I always get a kick out of the fact that these things are so triangular because that's the best that they could do on the Super Nintendo or the N64.
That's the thing, isn't it? In this case, it is like, it's literally the Super Nintendo constraints that's informed it, because even though, what we certainly would look back on now, the very low poly nature of the N64 was a vast improvement over what they could, kind of muster on Super Nintendo. But of course, the Super Nintendo game existed, it had been popular, so when you're coming around to the 64, you're just going to do a version, a somewhat improved, embellished kind of version of those designs from the first game.
Yeah.
All right. So, Free as a Bird comes from a manga they made apparently for Star Fox Adventures website.
Oh,
so
wow.
This is them just like, no, we're
going to put it all in there, from all the disparate kind of sources that could provide Star Fox lore tidbits. We're going to put it all in there.
What a deep cut! Star Fox Adventures of all games, man. Well, the thing is, I can see that though. That tracks because they would have to. That's the one game that they would have had to pad out with lore, right?
Oh yeah, but like that was a comic they made for the website, not for the game.
That is so funny.
But like, I do think it was referenced in a later Smash Trophy. So like, it may be that like that kept it around enough that they were like, oh yeah, that's a thing. But also, that means somebody at some point had to go through like all the content that's been written about Falco Lombardi and be like, okay, what do we want to use from all of this shit? Of course, they probably could have just asked Sakurai, who probably has a dossier on every Nintendo character that's ever been created.
Yeah.
Let me just send you my dossier. It's in my folder with all the feet.
Mm-hmm.
Did we ever talk about the Velen Studios element of this?
The developer, I'm trying to remember when that became sort of public. Obviously, Nintendo not generally that forthcoming with this stuff a lot of the time.
I think it became public right after the Direct. So the developers who are making this are based in New York. They are a relatively small team, like 75 people. Their first major project, in fact, their first project they released was, of all things, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit for the Switch. Now, if it seems weird that a studio can come out of nowhere and get a major Nintendo gig like Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, then roll to EA to do Knockout City, and then Hot Wheels, something for Meta, Midnight Murder Club for Sony Interactive, and then do Star Fox. This crew didn't come out of nowhere. It is mostly made up of Vicarious Visions staff. In fact,
they're kind of like Star Fox. They're mercenaries.
A little bit. The brothers that founded it, Gutha and Karthik.
Right, who left after it got acquired, right?
Right. They were the founders of they were among the founders of Vicarious Visions. I don't know if they were the sole founders. And this is essentially what they went and did afterwards. So apparently they just took their Rolodex with them when they went and made this company, and Nintendo's like, yeah, make the software for our weird Mario Kart race car game / Switch game.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a company, if there's two individuals that Nintendo would trust, it would be those guys, right?
Yeah. They gave them something that was relatively low impact, which was the software portion of their RC game, or of their RC race car. And then now they've worked for Sony, they've worked for EA, and now they're back around again with Nintendo for Star Fox. This is impressive. They founded in 2016. It's an impressive 9-year run.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably a couple of guys where they have their people, and like you said, they have their Rolodex, and they would say, "Oh yeah, hey, I know probably about 10 to 15 really, really good developers that I could probably call and pry away from whatever company they don't like working for right now, and because they probably got laid off or something, and had to just go somewhere just to get a job." Yeah.
I've got a bunch of publishers I can call to be like, hey, I've got this team. You know their work. Here's the things they've worked on together. You know me. You know I'm good for it.
Yep.
What do you got some work for us?
Yeah. And
Nintendo's like, well, we need someone to write Switch software for this RC car we're going to make because we're insane. Their deal. Done.
Yeah. Easy. Tell you what, if this goes well, we'll farm more stuff to you.
Yeah. I know Knockout City it ultimately got shut down. But as we talked about last week, such is the fate of live service games.
Yes.
So the funny thing is their Hot Wheels game is based on the same tech as the one that was used in Home Circuit. This is just unbranded Home Circuit, which is funny. But yeah, this is kind of the interesting thing when we talk about these independent studios and the studios that have been bought and being shut down. Being independent's really hard.
It is.
It's really hard. Because you're constantly hunting for work. Like if you're an owned studio, at least, there's a good chance you're going to have something assigned to you. So like there is work available on the table. This crew is out hunting work. That takes a different kind of hustle. But
yeah. I mean, there's not many people that could go out and form a studio like this and have success. Very few.
Right. Like you have to already know it's very much a who do you know business.
Yeah.
And so, these brothers had contacts both in terms of people to hire and people to say like, "Hey, do you got any work for me?" Mm-hmm. But it's an interesting sort of counterpoint to the horror stories we've seen lately. But it also speaks to why Nintendo isn't really subject to these big layoff pushes. They don't really acquire teams. Like they think about who they've acquired. They acquired Monolith Soft, which has definitely paid for itself, and they've expanded that team dramatically from the acquisition.
Yeah, and which is probably has more to do with both the scale and scope of the games that they create and the technology that they create to make those games possible. It's not really something that Nintendo could do themselves.
Yeah. They then bought Next Level because Next Level was basically going to cease to exist if they didn't, and Next Level had made them $1 gazillion with Luigi's Mansion. Mm-hmm. And also they worked on another game that made good money, but that was the killer. And then Shiver, which they legitimately, I would not be surprised if they bought that for $1. We actually do know the number. I can't remember what it was, but it was basically like, please don't shut this studio down. Cause if you don't buy it, we're going to have to shut the studio down. So like they're just not that interested in buying these. I mean, HAL fucking lives in their building and has for decades. They still haven't bought HAL.
Yeah, they
just don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're also very hesitant. I mean, all these other companies, they're like, oh yeah, I'll buy a studio and then just shut it down in 3 years when the shine is, off of the toy kind of thing.
Yeah,
or
bloom is off the rose.
Yeah,
shut it down.
Yeah, which is just horrible. I mean, like. That's a whole tangent in and of itself, but Nintendo doesn't really do that. They're very reluctant. They don't need to buy many of these studios. And also they don't, I think, trust many independent studios because they're that protective of kind of the quality of their games.
They find people they like to work with.
Yeah.
And then they just return to that well.
Yes.
And they don't need to buy those companies because they know they're the most lucrative contracts. Generally speaking, those companies are going to have. Mm-hmm. And so they can keep them in a relatively tight orbit without running the risk of buying them.
Yeah, and it's really felt like, okay, you've sort of proved to us over time that you can make games that are approaching a quality that we would make ourselves. So yeah, maybe we
get more
could,
space.
Yeah, maybe you could either be a second party or we buy you outright, but it's just really,
and like they only seem to buy when it is absolutely necessary. And like, I mean, I feel very confident in the next 4 years based on how this has gone. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see another Nintendo published Valiant Studios game.
Yeah.
It just feels like this is a relationship they're good with now.
Yeah, I mean, even with a company like Rare, Nintendo never owned them.
No. But they had ownership stakes.
Did they have an ownership stake? Okay. Yeah, but they never outright bought them, right?
No, that was the point, wasn't it? When the Stampers decided that, they did want somebody to take it off them, essentially, Nintendo declined.
Exactly.
You're right. So it speaks directly to the reluctance that you're talking about, John.
Mm-hmm.
I think Nintendo's ownership stakes were largely predicated on them investing in the company so they could build up their development studio.
Yeah.
I mean, and by that I mean literally the physical structure,
mm-hmm.
the barns that they worked in and stuff. It was like a capital investment of that. We need money to continue to produce games. Here's what we will give you in exchange for your cash.
Yeah,
and it was basically stakes. And ultimately, when the Stampers wanted to sell, they said, nope, not interested. And so they sold Microsoft their rights,
mm-hmm.
or their holding percent. And that's how Microsoft owned Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
He's easily one of the dumbest, you really don't understand this industry at all moments.
There's so much of that too. I mean, same thing. I mean, just I was just thinking about what are like the worst, worst acquired companies ever, or, like
just complete bungling.
Rare is up there. Bungie is up there. I mean, you name it. Some of these things, it's just like, my God, man, like.
A lot of these studios that Activision acquired before being acquired themselves, you could argue, like Vicarious Visions.
Yeah. Like,
you know what they're doing right now?
Yeah, it's like, dude, they're brought in to be a support studio, working on like multiplayer parts of games and stuff like that. Like,
Vicarious Visions is now known as Blizzard Albany.
Oh my God, man! Like, it's just, man. Sometimes this industry, man, it is just insane. Like, there's the amount of mismanagement, but I guess that's just in corporate America, period. But just the mismanagement sometimes in this industry.
The good news is Vicarious Visions didn't do anything that's like important or really good or memorable or anything.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, you could always count on them, like, because they did all the Tony Hawk games, right? Or did they not do that? For the
they did a lot of them for, like, here's the GBA one, which was really fucking good.
Yeah, they were really good.
Yeah, like they were the I've got a problem, I've got a licensed game I need you to make for Game Boy Advance. Like, it's probably not going to I'm confident. The fact that they release, hold on, let me count it because I think it's funny.
They always had like the low key banger games. Always. They were so good. Blizzard Albany, unreal. Get out of here. That's terrible. That is just depressing as hell.
Hold on, I'm almost done counting. The fact that they released 13 GBA games in 2003, I'm sure they were all absolute bangers. Like, I know Disney's The Lion King 1.5 A+ game. Disney's Brother Bear AA+ game. But like Crash Nitro Kart is extremely well thought of.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like they were the studio where they would take some licensed thing where under anybody else's stewardship, you would think that's a piece of trash licensed game.
Yeah.
But Vicarious would take it and it would say, yeah, by the way, this, you would see it get like 9 out of 10. And you're like, this is a Barbie game. Why is it getting that? Oh, it's okay. It's done by Vicarious Visions. Gotcha.
They worked on a bunch of Guitar Hero stuff. Like, I'm sure Over the Hedge, Hammy Goes Nuts is probably a bad game.
But somebody else, it would probably be way worse.
That's fair. But like American Skateland has no reason to be good. It is.
Yeah. It is really good. You can kind of see like the whole, like, just like once they started, like, man, how depressing. They got
stuck in the Skylanders.
I know, you just see it, right? I'm looking at the game list and it's just like Skylanders. And then and
then they never escaped.
Yep. And then ironically they got cursed by working on Destiny 2 as well.
Like, how did that happen?
A support team for Bungie for Windows. Wow.
Did Activision sell Bungie before they did? It was after Destiny 2 came out. Okay, yes.
Yeah, it was. Well, that was it was part of the Sony like push into live.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then
live
they got
service
stuck
games.
in Call of Duty for a while, and then the Diablo, they became Blizzard, which is so weird.
That
Like,
is that is really weird.
Why were they merged into Blizzard? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, but you know, these little small-ish independent studios, you know, Nintendo has a Rolodex themselves apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I'll be curious what they do next.
Yeah.
Like what Velen does, cuz like this, we talked about this with the Dynasty Warriors stuff, where it's like, look, that relationship matters to Nintendo. So they are going to let Omega Force make a fucking Dynasty Warriors game with Nintendo branded characters every 4 to 5 years because it makes them a lot of money because Tecmo Koei publishes those in Japan. So like that's going to happen. We know it's going to happen because the other shit they do for Nintendo makes it worth doing. I'll be curious what they let them do next. Like, do they let them make something wholly original? Probably not. Do they let them remake another N64 game? Well, that assumes Nintendo hasn't remade them all by the time this happens. All of them. Winback remake coming to Switch 2 any day now. They're going to call it Winback, We're Back. There we go. I got it.
Wow, there it is.
I had to think about that one for a long time.
Huh?
We're so yeah. That's the slogan.
That's pretty good, right?
That's the slogan. It's gonna be the We're So Winback Direct.
Okay, yeah. Anyways,
yeah.
to wrap
Star
this
Fox.
up, to wrap this up, to put this out of his
anybody
misery.
else want to talk about Star Fox?
Star Fox is really good.
Great. Okay. All right, so 2 things, both of them related to the email address, which is rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. Why am I clapping out the syllables? I was told that sometimes that can help people's memory.
No,
to do
it's
a
never helped
physical
me,
activity
James, for
with
the
it.
record.
Well, yeah, you're beyond help.
Yep.
So rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. Why? What do you do with that email address? What is an email address? I can't help you on that second question. Go ask ChatGPT. Go ask Grok what an email address is. It'll probably tell you something completely stupid. But if you know what an email address is, and you have the mechanisms required to leverage such technology, such ancient technology, my recommendation to you is to go and send an email to that email address, which is rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. And you can send us questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, games. I don't know why I always say games that way. Or for a limited time only, you can send your recommendation for our next retroactive. A retroactive designed to take place before episode 999, which, if you have lost track, is 18 episodes away. Fuck, I have to come up with something for the episode 1000. Oh man. I know what I want to do. I have an idea for it. I haven't cleared it with any of these guys. It's a pain in the ass. It's going to be a nightmare to set up. But it's the right decision. Oh man, I don't want to do it. Whatever.
Yeah, this is a pretty hard sell, James.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it will be good, but it's a lot of work for me, and I'm inherently lazy.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I don't want to work hard. That's not fair. Why should I have to work hard? I should just get what I want. But all right. Well, I'll start putting that proposal together because I'm going to have to actually plan that. I don't want to deal with that shit. But here's something that you can help me plan. I know you all live your life wondering, how can I help Radio Free Nintendo's James Jones today? And today I have a thought for you. A way that you, the listener, can make my life better, even in a small way. And that is, besides sending an email to rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. That's rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. I will keep saying it until you see it in your sleep. Or I guess hear it in your sleep. Besides sending emails with questions, comments, ideas, thoughts, games, you can send us your recommendation for our retroactive. And what are the rules around this retroactive? Why? It has to be a game on the original Switch that came out within the first 365 days of the original Switch's launched. Switch launched on, what was it, March 3rd, 2016? So it would need to be between that and March. I should check that. I should check that because I don't want to give you fuckers any kind of technicalities. Somebody's going to come in here and be like, oh, you got the date wrong. March 3rd, 2017. See? This is why we check things. March 3rd, 2017, which means 365 days later is March 2nd, 2018. If it happened between those two dates, it's a valid game. Here's what I don't want, though. I don't want games that don't really have much don't have much for us to talk about. Obviously, a retroactive is a talky segment. We need things to speak of. Also, don't want a game that's a port to Switch. Like, it should be a game that is for Switch. Like, you're giving me an Arcade Archives. Yeah, it may have come out in that date, but is it really a Switch game, or is it just an Arcade Archives game that happens to be on Switch? It doesn't mean it has to be a game that's like, this game was built for the ground up for Switch. It just means, like, don't send us, like, Mass Effect. Like, I mean, fuck. Yeah, sure. Whatever. But that's not really a Switch game. That's a game on Switch. Something where this is its original run. There we go. That's what it is. The original run date here. This is like its original release.
It's not on Switch, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's on Wii U.
The Mass Effect 3 was on Wii U.
A Mass Effect is on Wii U. You can affect mass on Wii U, yes, but not all of it. Just the third of it. You're right. It is not on Switch. It should have been, but it was not. Because I think they recently did another port, but whatever. What I need from you is recommendations for this. When do I need them by? Why 1 week from our recording, which would be on the 2nd, the day of Rhythm Heaven Fever? Is it Fever? No.
Groove is the new one.
Groove, yes, Groove. Rhythm Heaven the 5th releases for Switch. I want your recommendations for Switch games. There we go. Smooth. Absolutely flawless introduction. But, hey. I also still need your questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, games, contests, emails containing all the access relevant to drain your bank accounts, whatever you feel like sending. And we have some email still in the tin, but it's been kind of quiet on that front. So if besides sending us retroactive recommendations, which we have gotten a few, I have not vetted them to confirm that they comport with the requirements I have laid out. My promised mocking you for not understanding how calendars work will happen if necessary. We do have an email that we can read right now. In fact, I will read it right now. This is an email we were looking to do a few weeks ago, but we decided we needed Mr. Lindemann here for it. Richie Rich writes, I don't think this is the real Richie Rich, but whatever.
It's not even DJ Richie Rich, I don't think.
God.
From the group
DJ,
Third Base.
the only DJ I recognize is DJ Diesel.
I don't even know what that means.
Hey, RFN. It's Shaq. It's Shaq's DJ name.
Oh my God. Wow.
Hey, RFN. So apparently, Play On, all caps, formerly Coke Media of Embracer Group fame, will be releasing the Neo Geo AES Plus in a couple of months. So when this email came out, it was a couple months. Now it's in a month. There are advertised to be, these are advertised to be nearly identical machines to the original Neo Geo AES home consoles, except with HDMI output. They're also re-releasing a few games on cartridges, including ones like the first Metal Slug, of which original use copies apparently cost more than a new sedan? Objectively, I know this would be a stupid idea to buy this. I have no nostalgic attachment to the brand, have never seen a real Neo Geo, have no space or money for the huge $90 cartridges, and all of the games they're re-releasing can be had for $8 on the eShop. I told my girlfriend about this device. She rolled her eyes so hard and asked, quote, "Didn't you just buy a new Nintendo last year?" This is good. What do you guys make of this thing? Does it interest you? Or is it a FOMO trap set for collectors? Do you think it might lead to more homebrew Neo Geo game releases down the line. Love to sow.
I mean, it might
I love to sow
lead
Discord
to more homebrew, but do you really want
that's
homebrew?
reasonable.
Neo Geo games is what you need to ask yourself.
I want Neo Turf Masters 2.
I mean, you looking for Windjammers 3?
I mean, the Windjammers 2 already came out as basically like, so yeah, I guess. I mean, what was the baseball game? I can't remember what it was
Baseball
called
Stars?
now.
Or was that
Baseball
SNK?
Stars?
Yeah, it was Baseball Stars. Wasn't
Baseball Stars 2. Baseball Stars 3. Baseball Stars 0.
I mean, it's
the AES Plus arcade stick alone is $120.
Yeah, this thing is wild even for me.
So, did you know it existed before this email?
I knew it existed, yeah. Because I saw it.
Okay.
I remember when it was first announced, I saw it, and I'm like, man, you got to be crazy to buy that. Because the whole thing with a lot of these things is you're freeing yourself of the just the insane hardware that these things used to have.
Yeah, but all right.
And this is just like, yeah, you liked massive cartridges. Enjoy, those. Oh my god, this is the wildest FOMO thing.
That's what they called me in high school, is massive cartridges. All right, but John, what if I offered you the ultimate experience, and you can pre-order it right now, right now with 60-day easy return, so there's no risk.
I'm not returning
there's
it.
No
if I get it, I'm all in for life. Okay.
Well, hold on. Let me tell you what the ultimate experience is. This is the Neo Geo AES Plus Ultimate Edition US.
Okay.
It is the ultimate experience.
I expect nothing less.
It comes with the Neo Geo AES Plus console with HDMI output. Mm-hmm. It comes with the Neo Geo AE Plus stick. It also comes in a very handsome box that collects those two things. And most importantly, it comes with 10 Neo Geo cartridges, each in their own replica boxes of Metal Slug, King of Fighters 2002, Garou Mark of the Wolves, Big Tournament Golf, Shock Troopers, Samurai Showdown 5 Special, Pulse Star, Twinkle Star Sprites, Magician Lord, and Overtop. And a game rack to house them all. And a power supply. All yours. For the low price of and it comes with the controller, the controller pad. The low price of $1,000. How can you possibly say no to this?
I mean, man.
What if I told you I can get you a deal? Like, I know I'm driving a hard bargain here, but what if I told you I can get you a deal?
I'm not paying more than, like, say, $600 for that. You know?
Okay, but what if instead of $1,000, which I understand is steep, things are tight right now. I'm going to give you a deal specifically to you, John Lindemann. If you buy it right now, I will give you it exactly 1 penny off for $999.99. That is a bargain.
Tempting.
It comes with a Neo Geo branded rack to hold your 10 Neo Geo reproduction cartridge cases. Does the Switch 2 come with the rack to hold your Neo Geo production cartridge cases? No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't come with the Neo Geo cartridges either, for the record.
That's true, you're right.
It's sounding like worse and worse a deal all the time.
We're talking about Neo Turf Masters, John.
Yeah.
What if I told you right now, today, the Xbox has announced yet another $100 price increase. You know what doesn't have a $100 price increase? The Neo Geo AES Plus Ultimate Edition US.
Yeah.
So, like, you can get one Xbox, or you can get 10 games for the Neo Geo AES Plus, and the system, and the joypad, and the stick. All of it. For only $200 more. That's what it's like. What it's like a coffee at Starbucks. What, you could do this, John. Mm-hmm. This is an insane device.
It's insane, and the fact that here's the thing. I wanted a Neo Geo really, really bad when I was a kid, But back then, the games that were on Neo Geo were like kind of state of the art.
They were arcade games.
Yes, and that you could not get them at home in any way, shape, or form. You were getting, mediocre NES ports. You really didn't see anything approaching what was in the arcade until, I don't know, not even really 16-bit era.
The PlayStation era.
Yeah, PlayStation
like you started
era
seeing games that looked very similar.
Yeah, that was pretty much when it started. So, but also, these games aren't very good. I found that out years later, and I said, wow, these games aren't actually really good. Like, I always wanted Magician Lord. But when I actually played Magician Lord, I was like, wow, Magician Lord kind of sucks. It's really not that good.
He's the Lord of Magicians, John.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really good in screenshots, but that was like a lot of games back then. They looked really good in screenshots, but when you played them, you're like, either the gameplay was really shallow, or there was a lot of slowdown or something, but that was just the way things were. That's why you would rent games rather than buy them, just in case it was
right.
It played really poorly or something. But yeah, this, I mean, I will say that they... they stayed true to the Neo Geo ethos of giving you less for more, for just reasons of trying to be authentic. But
that's the thing. I mean, adjusted for inflation, it's not expensive enough, is it? Let's be fair.
No, you're right.
With what they were charging back in the day, if you put that in, in today's prices, it would be vastly beyond what they charge. So for me, they've undershot it. If I want the experience, if I was like you, John, I was young and I really wanted to buy Neo Geo and I couldn't because I was a child. Now I'm a profligate adult. Let me be every bit as profligate as I wanted to be back then, and rather than the cut price option that they're offering.
Yeah, so I think they've actually undershot the mark here.
What if I just took the extra money from you? Just had you give me the extra money, and that way you feel like you spent more money.
That's tempting.
Well, they could have at least done some frippery of a deluxe edition.
Guess what they did?
Lead into it. Call it the Real Terms Edition or whatever. And it's just like, you get a plaque that says, you're a super customer, and you get to pay the inflation adjusted equivalent of what people would have paid for a Neo Geo back in the day.
If you're not interested in buying the Ultimate Edition, which I don't understand why you wouldn't be, but let's just say for the sake of argument, you aren't. You can buy just the Neo Geo AES Plus US price of $249.99 like a chump. Or, Greg, to your point, if you want to have the Frippery edition, you can buy the AES Plus Anniversary Edition, which is all white and in no other way different. Actually, I think it might come with the game. It comes with a copy of Metal Slug for $349.99. So you get a white console and Metal Slug for $100.
It's a bit strange, isn't it? Because it's like this whole thing. It feels like, obviously we live in a time of kind of like the stuff like Analog Pocket, Analog 3D. Where you get in kind of premium like hardware emulating past systems, but of course they don't have the actual license, right? You can't call it the Nintendo 64, but they get the design as close as they can, and all that kind of thing. And they might in some cases, you've got additional features obviously that are offered. But today, like the Analog 3D, I think it has an overclock type of mode, where you can. You run N64 games at frame rates they couldn't have run at originally, or this, that, and the other. But basically, it's trying to make it as accurate as possible. If you put in the actual N64 cartridges, but they don't have the actual license, whereas here they do. So it's like, oh yeah, we can have the original case design and all that. So like, presumably I think it makes it more desirable when you can actually replicate the cartridge design, the boxes, the everything, because it's all like officially like sanctioned. Why would you want a color that there was never a white Neo Geo, right?
No,
that didn't happen. So like, why would you want one? don't get
Yeah.
it.
Because it's the anniversary edition. Because you want...
The anniversary
So-
of a thing that didn't happen. There is
Yeah,
no
well,
anniversary
you know-
for a white Neo Geo. It didn't exist.
I mean, isn't that just Guy Fawkes Day? Like, I just think it didn't happen. We took care of it. Maybe the white Neo Geo almost escaped unpainted, and that's what they're commemorating. They're commemorating the stopping of an
day a
unpainted
man
Neo
with-
Geo.
heroically with a black can of spray paint saved it.
Yeah, and just FYI, this launched in April of 1990 at $650, $649.99, but $650. $650 in April of 1990 is now $1,689.91.
So I'll tell you what. You pay the $249.99, and then give me $1,400, and you had the authentic experience.
You're a hell of a salesman, James Jones.
I'm trying to give you an experience.
Yeah,
The ultimate
I'm getting
experience.
It. I'm getting it in so many ways.
The
Backwards and
ultimate
forwards,
experience.
up and down.
John, I need you to convert $999 into. Well, no, because we have to figure out how much. So all right, there's no way to do this math, but we have to price out all the individual components.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a good deal? No, it's not.
It's not.
This is
Well,
a terrible deal.
You have to think
But
about
is it-
like it's just the thing
is
is
it
it's so
funny?
limited in functionality, right? It's not even something like unless like
Yeah.
like can you? I mean, is it only for Neo Geo games? Like, is that it? Is that all you can do with it?
It is a yes.
That's crazy, man. Like why would you buy something like that? Like
Because you're insane.
yeah, I mean,
Like, but,
unless
like, that's
unless you are such a huge Neo Geo collector, like you have to have this for your
Yeah.
collection. That's it.
like, look, if you're loaded and you love the Neo Geo, like, yeah, fuck it, go for it. Like, whatever. Me, I'm gonna like.
It's like
I mean, 200.
if you want to waste $1,000, buy a Steam machine.
Well, but keep in mind, the $1,000 is I want to own all the games and all the hard. Like, okay, yeah, that's a lot of money. But you're getting the whole kit and caboodle. Like,
Yeah.
is $249.99 really that much money for a piece of electronics equipment these days? No,
No, it's not.
not really. I could drop that on something I really like and not feel it.
Yeah.
I make good money. It's not a big deal.
Yep.
I don't have an affinity for the Neo. Well, it's not even true. I actually do have an affinity
Yeah,
for
I
the
like
Neo
it.
Geo. Maybe more than anybody here. Because, like, I played a lot of Neo Geo, the arcade hardware. I'm blanking on. Because AES is based on the arcade hardware.
I think was it the MVS?
Yeah,
The multimedia
MVS.
system?
I played a shitload of MVS games growing up at the arcade in the mall. Like, all the time. I bought the SNK collection to relive those time periods. Although a lot of the games in that collection are not of that time period. They're actually pre-MVS games. But it's fine. It's fine. I got to play the game where you're a car with a horrifying face and arms picking apples as it drives down the road. But I don't want to spend $250 on the Neo Geo. Even though, like, I like that hardware. I like that. If that stick is a good reproduction, it's going to feel really good. And it's not like it's a bad deal. It's just like, it will only ever be able to play 10 games unless you happen to already own Neo Geo carts. At which point, if you already own Neo Geo carts, if you are presently the owner of a Neo Geo cart, fucking buy this thing. Like, yeah, you're the target. You are if you do not own a Neo Geo cart, if you have never actually seriously considered owning a Neo Geo cart, not like I thought about it, but then I saw that the going rate for all the games is way out of line. If you just never really seriously thought about it, don't make this your moment. Because there's no reason to. Because, again, these games are available elsewhere.
Extremely available in so many ways.
Yeah. Yes! They are the most of it. They could not be more available. So just do it. Like, get it that way. Now, but again, it's not that expensive. It's not. It's just, it's the utility for dollar ratio is all kinds of fucked up. If you're buying this as a collectible, not trying to sell it in the future, not an investment, a collectible for you to have in your collection. Yeah, sure, $249 is not that bad. Or $349 if you want the non-canonical white version. That does come with Metal Slug. Which is, but Metal Slug is $89 normally. So like, even these carts are expensive. So, give it a thought before buying this. Like, if you're, I would say, you know, the girlfriend rolling her eyes and being like, didn't you just buy a new Nintendo last year? That's maybe a little out of bounds, personally. Like, man, if you have a job, you could spend $250 on something that makes you happy. Like, fuck that noise. Or if you want to be a real asshole, go find something she bought last year, and next time she'd be like, "Oh, didn't you buy one of those last?" No, like that's not.
Didn't you just buy a purse last year? Yeah, okay.
I wasn't gonna go there, but
yeah, I'll go there.
It's not. Yeah, like that's not necessary. Like you have your money, you should be allowed to spend $250 on something that makes you happy. What I am asking you to interrogate instead of that is this thing going to actually make you happy? Because if you like the idea of having the Neo Geo sitting on your shelf looking cool, because it does kind of look cool.
Look, James, my Xbox fridge makes me happy every day. I look at that thing and I'm just like, I just look at that thing.
That's not true, though. That's denial.
I'm just like, man, I can keep things ice cold in that fridge.
It's all the positive it's all the positive associations that the brand provides these days.
It is, Greg. You nailed it, man. It's just
that thing's gonna eject half of the sodas you put in it at the current rate of business.
That fridge it's actually way more expensive now than it was when I first bought it. So it's actually appreciated in value. Think about it.
Yeah, so's my Series X. Yep. You're right.
Yep.
My launch day Series X that I got a day before you.
Absolutely.
That is now worth. I think if you were to buy it, like almost twice what I paid for it at launch day. It's so stupid.
Yeah, I mean the Series S now costs as much as the Series X did at launch. Just think about that. It's sad.
I guess, that's the thing. There that we're increasingly sort of presented with the likelihood that the next generations of Microsoft and Sony consoles might actually get close to the, the real terms adjusted price of a Neo Geo from back in the day. Perhaps they will attempt to sell it to people as an investment. Consider it. I know it sounds like a lot, but the only way's up, actually. So, just you can get your however many years of enjoyment out of it and then sell it on at a profit.
Yeah. It's depressing.
I like the idea that we've now turned our consoles into investment vehicles.
Well, I mean, really, like, I'm looking at my Steam Deck and I'm like, man, how much money could I flip this thing for now? Like, I used to be like, man, I'm going to have to just get rid of this thing. I don't know. Like, I don't use it that much. So, like, but now I'm going to either hold on to it or I might just sell it for a premium. Like, make money off of it. It's crazy.
I hate this.
It's awful, but I mean, it's just like, I never looked at it that way.
This is rewarding John Lindemann's worst hoarding tendencies.
Hey, man. I knew eventually, the thing is, James, my advice is the market will eventually come around to you.
What are you, Masayoshi Son? Was the goose not valued, John? Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
Half convinced, half skeptical, James.
No, I'm 100% skeptical, actually.
Yep.
I'm not convinced in the slightest about your economic policies, sir. I strongly advise you hire a professional money manager because I feel like your plans are not comporting to what the market will dictate.
Now I'm looking like a genius, let me tell you. It just took a few world events,
there's...
It's called vision, James.
Yo, if you foresaw this shit and didn't warn us,
I was like, one day that Series X is going to make me a lot of money.
One day that Series X is good. You know who's never said that? Microsoft.
Hey-oh! Oh, man. Oh, that's
Boom,
good.
roasted.
That's the
Roasted.
roasted.
Jesus Christ, I don't know that. You can send your emails to rfn@nintendoworldreport.com if spending $250 on a Neo Geo will make you happy. Go with God. That is rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. The games are still $80 though. Keep that in mind. If you want to materialize any value out of this thing, you have to give them another $80. I just want you to comprehend this. Make sure you understand that if you want it as more than a conversation piece, that conversation being, why did you spend $250 on it? You have to spend another $80 to say, well, so I could play Metal Slug. I just want to make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into. You can send your emails again to rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. That includes for one more week, your retroactive suggestions that are expressly for games for Switch that came out within 365 days of its launch. So get those in. We have our own recommendations that we're going to include. We'll figure out what game we're going to do shortly, but get them in. Hurry. I think that is everything. Greg, what is our music to conclude?
Well, we already mentioned Rhythm Heaven coming out, at the start of July there. But another thing that's coming out, I think on the very same day, July 2nd, but in Japan only, is Konami's Goemon Anniversary Collection that was announced quite a while back. I think it was announced at the same time as the Bomberman one that's been out for a while. But the Goemon one is finally coming out in Japan only, not surprisingly, because although like the Super Nintendo game and maybe one of the Game Boy games, a handful of them were localized back in the 90s, most of them weren't. So presumably it was kind of prohibitive for them. It was certainly not a very inviting prospect economically for them to localize a bunch of games that previously had not had localizations for the benefit of releasing the collection outside of Japan. But still, for me, someone who's played quite a lot of them, a good amount of them, not like the Famicom ones, but certainly all the Super Famicom ones and quite a few of the portable ones as well. Even if you don't have any Japanese language skills like me, you can still get quite a lot of enjoyment out of them, and it's just nice to see Konami acknowledging the series. And I kind of hope something happens with some of the other games. It doesn't go beyond like the 2D stuff. It'd be nice, if certainly the N64 games could find their way onto NSO expansion pack at some point, because probably use some more N64 games eventually. And I'm not sure there's a great, like the polygonal games, whether they'd be able to kind of collect those up into a package the same way as they've done for these 2D ones. But last time, I think when they announced it, I did a Goemon End song that was very atypical. It's from the third one for the Super Famicom. It's got a bunch of time travel and it's like very electronic sounding. Well, this time I'm going to go for something from the second Super Famicom game, which is probably the most import friendly, if you like, of all of them, because it's more of like a Super Mario World kind of map rather than like doing quests in towns or anything, to cut between action levels. And it's just a really fun game in general. But this is more just typical Goemon fare. It's the song for the Fortress stage of the game. And this is basic. I would imagine if you've ever heard Goemon music at any point before, this is what you'd imagine. This is the impression that you'd be left with in terms of just that kind of great energy and kind of bass line of the Super Famicom Konami music with the traditional kind of Japanese instrumentation being employed.
All right. Well, on that, it is time for us to go. Bye, everybody.
Later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.